Yeah, extremely frustrating. And, I think most people in this room understand how much I appreciate this university and how much I love Texas Tech and love our fan base, man. And it's so disappointing to come off a bye. We've got a lot of momentum and to come out and get beat at home like that. I mean, you don't want to lose any game, but man, I take a lot of pride in the way we play at home, and we played really bad tonight. Frustrating in the first half how bad we played on special teams. We put ourselves in some really bad situations. I think we gave up 10 points they gained 6 yards, and we gave up 10 points off of special teams. We have a couple of bad punts that I think gave them good field position, and then in the second half, especially early, not late, but they ran the ball on us late, but we started taking a lot of chances to try to knock the ball out, but early, we played some really good football teams, and I'm anxious to see the film. Schematically, man, they did a really good job running the football on us, and that hadn't happened a lot. And that was a frustrating part whenever you're talking about just the defensive side of the ball. Me being a defensive guy, man, I hate when people can run the football, and you almost feel helpless whenever that happens. And so, I told the guys we've spent the last 4 weeks being able to learn off of wins. We spent the last 4 weeks being able to celebrate wins. And we always talk about 24 hours. We've got 24 hours to feel sorry for ourselves and be disappointed. And then we've got the film is the mirror. Whenever you start talking about looking in the mirror, the film is the mirror. And we've got to learn from this. There's no doubt. I know the character in that locker room. I know these guys. I know how hard they're going to come out and try to bounce back. And like I told them at the end, man, as bad as it feels right now, everything is still in front of us, what we're trying to reach, the goals that we have for this year. So really tough, man. I hate it, and hate it for us and the players, and really hate it for our fan base. With that, questions?
Coach, you kind of touched on it already, but, they ran the ball on you really well, and without the film, it's hard, I know, but felt like you guys played a lot of 3 down, played a lot of dime packages, and you guys have stopped the run pretty well out of those early this season. But I guess what's the frustration like, or whatever the case may be, with your defensive line?
Yeah, going back, and this wasn't the reason, because the guys that were in there played a lot of football. We lose Duda early in the game. And so that's always going to hurt because he is a dominant defensive lineman. Going back, I promise when we're looking, we probably didn't move. Being in that 3 down, we probably didn't move enough. That's on me more than it is on TD going in the week with the reps that we had, or what we practiced, the package that we had, and it goes back like this week. The whole week has been talked about, like the details of the game. Of we're playing really close games. We didn't play one tonight, obviously, but we're playing really close games, and the reason we are is because of the details. Like, they should be 14-point wins or 21-point wins, but we've got to be better at doing our job. Tonight, it goes back to, like, we should have at worst been down 3 points at halftime. We've got to play defense called to where, we've got everything matched up. The linebacker has a running back, and instead of taking the running back, he adds on. And he can add on, but he has to add on through the running back. And he doesn't. Then they check the ball down. They get the first down. And now, instead of being down 3 at half, I think we're down 10 at half. And felt good still coming out of halftime. We got a 3 and out, or we made a punt, and then we went down and scored. And then, man, it was like the floodgates opened for them.
Is there any magic number, or what the deal was with the special teams? Just extremely surprising with how they've played so far this season.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Both, I think we shanked one out of bounds, gave them a short field. I don't know if they scored on that. And then the punt return was a line drive, so you're catching the ball and your coverage just not anywhere, so you got space. We'll say they didn't have really a kickoff return. that was big and affected the game. They had a pretty decent return, but their return game was something that we knew that we had to do a good job because they're number one in the conference. I think Josh Cameron's number one in the conference in punt returns, and and he's a really good returner, and he's a big physical returner. So you got to do a good job of attacking him. But that return right there, I mean, we outkicked our coverage. It was a line drive, and that was frustrating. And then we don't field the squib, and they get the ball back and kick a field goal there. And so, like I said, you're looking at 10 points before. I mean, we hadn't even been on the field, but 4 plays, I think, and 10 points.
You mentioned it being on you more than on TD about the not shifting up front as much.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you've been talking about in terms of allowing the young guys to play fast?
Yeah, we kind of talked earlier in the week of running some of our sim pressures, but we didn't run them against we hadn't been running them the last 3 weeks, and I thought that 2 of the last 3 weeks we were playing good defense. We were definitely playing good defense as far as stopping the run, and so we were more stagnant. And they, one thing they did in the second half is they were in 11 personnel, but they gave us 10 personnel looks. And, whenever we loaded the box, they spit the ball out. They had 2 touchdowns off of us, just a screen play, or not even screen play, just a, kind of bubble or just a stop and spitting it out there. And we missed a tackle, and one going into the south end zone, early, we didn't relate. They lined up, I think it trips, and they brought the tight end out for an extra blocker, and we didn't relate to him. And, that's just the details, man. It just goes back to stuff like that. I mean, there's just little things that defensively you put yourself in a bad position number-wise whenever you don't. And then we didn't tackle well in space today.
I know a lot goes into a result like this. But it seemed during the 4-game winning streak, the team played with a lot more emotion, a lot more physicality, and it seemed like it wasn't there today, and that Baylor played a lot more physical game. I'm just curious, as a head coach, why you think that happened.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we weren't physical today. There weren't a lot of times that on either side of the ball that you were like, we're finishing runs or we're finishing blocks or where there's big hits where we're running. I think a little bit, I think that they had a really good game plan offensively. They created a lot of space, something that we really got to look at, that we haven't had to defend as much, or that type of what they were trying to do. And then, before the game, I asked the guys to take a deep breath, because there was some, I would say weird energy, but there was a lot of energy, and I didn't know if it was, sometimes you can get too excited and too hyped, and then all of a sudden you're playing out of position. That's something that we're gonna have to watch on the film, and yeah, I mean, it's 59-35. I mean, y'all know, I'm not gonna, Kirby and I were talking, I'm not going to wave the white flag. I'm going to take timeouts. I'm going to kick an onside kick just because if I ask the kids to do things, I got to do the things as a coach. So maybe it's, if we play it different, maybe we get beat and it's not by as much margin. But if you lose, you lose. And so I do think that, whenever you're sitting there and you're looking at 59-35, I mean, a lot of that was we're getting the ball back on the onside kick, getting the ball back because we're going for it. We're getting the ball back we're not getting the ball back. They're getting the ball back with short fields just because we're going to keep playing and keep fighting and try to, I just don't want these guys to ever be able to say, Coach McGuire just threw the white flag up, and it looks ugly and it was ugly, but, any loss is ugly.
Coach, kind of on that note, there were multiple points in the second half where it felt like the game was still within reach, but it just felt like the energy kind of depleted at a certain point in the third quarter. Did you feel that, and were you disappointed in that from the bench?
Yeah, I don't know. I think more than anything, it was a lack of execution that didn't keep the energy up. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever when we stopped them and we went down and scored, the energy was high. We were executing, and then we come out and we give up a touchdown right back to back, and then we don't. We're talked so much about playing off of each other, and so they go down and score and we don't. And so now the lead stretches, I think, to 17 at that point. And that's where I do maybe the energy, but it's interesting. It's an interesting comment, because the thing that not necessarily that I didn't feel like we didn't have the energy, but we weren't physical tonight, and that is extremely frustrating. Like for me, whenever I was talking to Tim on the headset, I was like, really, man, where's this ball hitting? Like people have not been able to run the ball like this on us. And, you go back and you see coming in this game, and we really felt like they were going to try to come out and throw the ball, because that's what they've been doing, and they hadn't been effective running the ball, and they were very effective running the ball tonight, and they were also, and we were too. So it's not an excuse, just a statement. I mean, they were healthy. They had all their backs back, and, and they did a good job of running the football. I think that's where, like, the feeling, I really felt, you said, like in the third quarter, that we're in a good, and then we just don't execute. We don't, whether it's a drop or we miss a block or we get a penalty, anything like that.
Joey, by margin, this was your worst home loss since the last time Baylor was here.
Yeah.
Is there anything that was this game similar to that game schematically, or is it just a coincidence that you played 2 bad games against Baylor?
No, it's funny when you say that. I mean, it's our worst home loss, but to me, this felt a lot like Texas last year. We played absolutely horrible on special teams against Texas, if y'all recall. It's really a fight, and then we give up, I think, a touchdown on a kickoff return, and that's kind of how it felt whenever it comes to that, and they played a good game. I mean, whenever you look at them, they haven't put 4 quarters together. They put 4 quarters together tonight. They put 4 quarters, and they really got after us, and hats off to them.
When did J.C. Miller on the edge? When did he begin practicing there? And is that a sign? Is that a kind of a symbol of you're just needing more from somebody?
Yeah, he started. We did a little bit last spring. We did a couple of reps in camp. But going into the bye week, we did hit the Arizona quarterback a lot, but we felt like, he gave us a longer edge guy. So we repped him during the bye week, and then we repped him in a certain package this week and threw him in there. And I thought he did a good job. He put some pressure on the quarterback. I mean, I'm also anxious to see like that play, a couple of different plays of just, I think he's fixed to get home and kind of gets hands to the face and so doesn't get the hit. But we're going to keep doing it, man. He's got a chance to help us on the edge, and we'll keep him in the third down package. Whenever we do that, though, we got to keep working him, also against the run, because, people are going to come out and run the football also on third down.
Regarding Duda, it was hard to tell from.
Yeah, it's I hate it for him. It was his knee. It's I don't know exactly. We're waiting to hear. I really don't think it's an ACL, but it's. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's going to be. I don't see him playing next week or against Iowa State. It's going to be a couple of weeks, if not longer, before we get him back.
All right, they'll do it for Coach. 12
All right.
players next.
Thank y'all.